All right, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my fellow YouTubers. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Barnon11970. And I want to first off thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. And if you've been listening to my channel for a while, or this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, hopefully you will learn something or rethink and try and see things in a different perspective that could potentially help you improve your life in some way, shape, or form, because that's what I want this channel to be all about. So, welcome. I see people starting to see that I am live. I haven't done a video in a little bit, but that's because I want to make sure I do quality over quantity, and I find that people are really being inspired with my videos. As a matter of fact, I saw a channel that happened to, quote-unquote, borrow one of my videos, and nice to see it got about 100 times what my original video did, but hey, the message is getting out there, and that's a good thing to me. And Soul, that's your opinion to think that way. I would rethink the way you're thinking, because that just sends a negative context, and you'll always reflect what you give. So if you are spewing negativity, it's always going to come back your way. So my recommendation for you is to rethink what you're saying and try and see a bigger perspective. But I appreciate anyway you leaving a comment. All right, so this is what I want to talk about. And you'll see the title says, Why You Always Seem to Get What You Don't Want. And I think that's the biggest thing I've seen. I've dealt with that for a majority of my life. I know a lot of people, they have what's called drowning a good intention, where they really don't, what I like to call, understand about how the universe really works. And it's not really their fault, because we're never taught it. You know, there are plenty of people out there that, for whatever reasons or whatever motives, have decided, instead of helping our fellow men and women in this world, they decided to hinder their growth for their own selfish purposes. But the good news is you can learn how to improve your life, even when places like YouTube and Google and Twitter and all these places, and everyone tries to silence things, because it's like they say, when you grab sand and you try and squeeze that sand, the harder you squeeze, the more sand is going to slip through your fingers. So truth can never be 100% silenced, and my channel is proof of that. So, one of the biggest things I want people to rethink about their lives, and I noticed this the other day, and it just impacted me in a way that I finally got that aha moment and just thought about it differently. And the good thing is, no matter how, quote-unquote, awake you are, or how much you think you know, you're always going to learn something new. So hopefully you'll get something out of this, and if you do, hopefully you'll subscribe to my Barn on 11970 channel. Hopefully you'll share it and maybe hit the like button. But the biggest thing, and the biggest reason we tend to end up getting the things that we don't want, is the way the universe works. It's kind of interesting. It's almost, in a way, like trying to ask a request of a robot who's there to grant your every wish, and so to speak. Obviously, that's not how it goes. But it's very cold, very calculated, and will give you what you request. Now, it's not based on your words, and that's the biggest thing. And I'm not going to repeat their name. I say the word understand because it's always about coming from the inside. So most people say the word understand, which means you're standing under somebody else's authority. So I use the word understand, which is not technically a word. It's what I call a Barnonism. It's just thinking differently and thinking from your own inner thoughts, thinking from the inside. In other words, trusting your instincts. So that's what I meant by that. So that's not a misunderstanding. All right, so basically the way I've found that things are working, and more people are starting to see this, it's not based on what you say. In other words, what you're praying for, what you're wishing for, what you're hoping for. It's how you feel about something. Because here's the thing. You can lie to somebody and say you love them. You can lie to somebody and say you like them. Or vice versa. You could actually not even believe that yourself. But you know what's truth. You know who you truly love. Regardless of what you admit or what you say, you will know the difference between you convincing yourself you love someone or something and knowing. So it's that feeling that's the truth. So the biggest concern, and this is how easy it is to actually change these things, is you ever notice when you're worried about something, it tends to come true? And the reason that's happening is you're focusing your feelings on the, oh no, what if that happens? Or, oh no, what if I lose my job or I lose my relationship? And it ends up happening. No matter how much you pray, no matter how much you wish, no matter how much you say to yourself or try and convince yourself, oh, it's going to be different, if you don't feel it in your heart, it cannot be read the way you want it to. So I'll give you a prime example. We have a cat named Luna. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know, especially my other channel, I have a We Love Comics channel, because I do that more often, because I actually get, with 8,000 subscribers, 3 times the amount of views on a channel like this that has 47,000. But my cat Luna, she's gone through a lot of problems. She has diabetes, she has liver disease, she has heart disease, she has pancreatitis, and we're doing everything in our power to save her life. Well, we found out she also may or may not either have swollen areas in her body, or it could be cancer. They don't know. And even I broke down a little bit and was really scared and worried, thinking, you know, I don't want to end up having to be the one that decides whether our animal lives and dies. That was a big concern for me. And I was very worried when I heard this, that this could be the end. And I started fearing losing our loved one. And that fear started manifesting. And all of a sudden she was getting, like, as soon as we got the news, all of a sudden she became very lethargic. And she wasn't eating. And she was basically looking like she was dying. And then I rethought about some of the things I've taught on this channel. And I started, instead of worrying and imaging her being buried or where we're going to put her when she dies and all this other stuff, I started rethinking the way I felt about it. And I started thinking about, well, they didn't say it's cancer, so we can't assume that because they don't even know. And if it's just swollen areas, they can be healed. I mean, even people with cancer have been healed. And I started thinking more positively. And I started feeling in my gut that we're going to get through this. And that later that same day, all of a sudden she started to recover. Now, she's not healed or anything, as far as I know, but she started eating again. She started walking around again. She starts purring again, and she seems better. And this is in the span of 10 hours in between these. Many people are at different levels in this world, and that's a good and a bad thing, because we all have to learn at our own paces. It's like anything. If you try and force somebody to do something they're not ready for or they're not wanting, they're never going to learn. It's like somebody that's an alcoholic, and they don't want to quit. It doesn't matter how much you try and force them or convince them or trick them or whatever. Even if they go unwillingly to rehab, they're not going to change. They have to do it inside. That's why I always say the inner stand. So many people are on different levels. So when somebody hears things like this, especially for the first time, the first thing they're going to do is they're automatically going to dismiss it because it goes against what they've been programmed all their life. From entities that's job is sole purpose of keeping you on a ground level, never letting you rise above or finding your way out of this matrix or whatever you want to call it. And the more you start to research, the more you start to trust your feelings and your instincts, and you start learning. It is a process. I started this journey back in 2011, and I'm still figuring it out now in 2019. But I'm learning. And every time you grow, you got to think of it like climbing a ladder. As long as you're climbing one step at a time, you're going in the right direction. So if you're one of those people that's hearing some of this and the first instinct is, oh, you're crazy, or this person's a conspiracy theorist or whatever, I completely understand that. That to me says that that person is not at the level that they need to be or we hope them to be. It's a journey. A person that is in calculus and tries to teach it to a kindergartner, they're going to think everything that they talk about is nonsense. So we're at different levels. So if you're not understanding this stuff or not believing in this stuff, it doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong in your eyes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you're right or wrong. It just means we're at different levels, and we want you to get to that space because it only benefits you and it benefits us all. So if you want to stop with all the negative things that happen in your life, you have to change your feelings, your heart, and your head. Your head is not it does not gather information the way you think it does. Your heart is more powerful than your head will ever be, because when somebody is passionate about something, what do they tell you to do? Put your heart into it. Or if they didn't, like in sports, they say their heart wasn't in it. Your head will trick you. Your head will fill you full of doubt. Your head will make you not trust things. Your head creates fear. Your heart knows truth. You cannot lie to love if you truly feel it, even if it's not reciprocated. You cannot control what anybody else does. So what are we taught throughout our lifetimes? If you're religious, you're taught about praying. You're talking about wishing and hoping and self-motivation. Now, certain things will take you to certain levels. You motivate yourself, you will improve your life. But if you solely stick in the brain and you ignore the heart, then you're only going to ever get halfway up that ladder. Now, to some people, that may be enough. But those that listen to these type of videos and they listen with their heart and they understand what I'm trying to say, or it resonates with them, that means they're going in a journey in a right direction. And it's pulling you there, because the universe is made of light, which is energy, and magnetism, which holds everything together. That's why when you like something, you are attracted to it. So if this resonates with you, congratulations, you're on a higher level, or you're going to a higher level. Now, that doesn't mean anyone's better. Again, the only difference between somebody that knows calculus and somebody that's in kindergarten is just, obviously, the person that knows calculus has been around longer, has been learning longer. So that doesn't mean somebody that's in kindergarten is stupid or bad. They're just not at that level yet. But they can get there if they choose to. You drop out of school, you don't learn anymore. But you'll learn more in places like this and other channels and through your own research than you'll ever learn in any school. Because school is there to motivate you to get a job, to pay your taxes, to respect authority, to believe what they say. And I want you to take the word believe, write it down on a piece of paper, and look at the middle three letters. You'll see the letters L-I-E, right in the word believe. The word lie is straight smack in the middle. So you can believe or not believe something. You can believe in oxygen, or you could say, well, I don't see it, I don't taste it, I can't touch it, I've never seen it, I don't know really what it is, so I choose to not believe it. Well, that doesn't make you right, and it doesn't make you wrong. There's a difference between believing in something and knowing something. You can believe you love somebody. The difference is when you know you love somebody. So, the way we've been taught or programmed, and the beautiful thing about a program, you can reprogram it. So all these other channels and all these other people, they talk about programming all the time and how it's a negative thing, and it can be if you want it to be that way. But with any program, if you're smart enough to know what you're doing, you can reprogram it. And the beautiful thing is, if you don't like that program, you can reprogram it again and again and again through infinity until you get what resonates with you. But we've been told all our life, when you have a problem, you pray, or you hope, or you wish. And most people base things on fear, and they worry about, oh, well, what if I lose my job, or what if I lose my house, or what if I lose my loved one? And you notice it happens, it's because the universe is not programmed to give you what you say. It's programmed to understand what you feel. So even though, for example, with my cat, even though I don't want my cat to die, because I kept worrying about, well, what if she's about to die? What if this is, we can't do anymore? All of a sudden, she started fading away. It's because the universe is saying, okay, they must seem to want this because they seem to emotionally be focusing so much on this. We'll give them what they're really asking for, even though your mind is saying the opposite. That's why you see so many people around the world. They always end up getting the thing that they fear the most. Why? Because you're focusing on it. Instead of focusing on losing your job, how often do you focus on, I can't wait to see what next job I get that's even better? Or you're so focused on losing a loved one, you never stop and think, well, what if my real soulmate is just around the corner? We've been programmed to always think negatively. You ever hear the expression, be careful what you wish for, you might get it? So here's the thing I want you to try as a test. And if you don't believe in it, it's not going to work. So if you go in, half what, you're going to get what you give. So you got to go in with a pure of heart. You have to go in with a, I've tried everything else. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to give it my all. Otherwise, it's all or nothing. So if you don't believe in it, it's not going to work. If you go into it sarcastically, it's not going to work. But if you're ready to try this, and you're ready to do this, you start thinking of whatever problems you have right now, and focusing an image of a positive outcome that can come out of it. And you'd be amazed at how quickly things change, because not for nothing, the speed of light, depending on who you talk to, is approximately 186,000 miles per second. Which means in a snap of a finger, light has already traveled thousands upon thousands upon thousands of miles. So it's very easy to attract something to you quickly. The problem is we've been taught if something's too good to be true, it usually is. So they programmed you to believe the very things that go against what will make you grow and rise above in life. And because of free will, nobody can stop you from doing something, but they can convince you of it. But it's ultimately your choice, which means you will ultimately have the power. Because remember, even if you make no choice, you're still making a choice. It's like, for example, if you want to win a race, you can exercise, you can get in shape, you can eat right, but that means nothing if you don't enter the race. If you get in the race, you don't guarantee a win. But if you don't enter the race at all, you guarantee a loss. If you want your life to change, you first have to, as Yoda once said, and I've used this quote several different times, you have to unlearn what you have learned. Or actually it should say, you should reprogram what you've been programmed. School is there to make you good little dogs. Sit forward, face front, be quiet, raise your hand when spoken to. When the bell rings, you go eat. When the bell rings, you go to the next class. When the bell rings, you go home. Respect authority. Get a bank account. Trust us. Now, if they've been making the world a better place, and I'm talking the school education system, and I'm talking about the media, and I'm talking about any government in any country, if they've been making the world a better place, then I'd say, hey, that's great. But like they say, by their deeds you shall know them. But how often do you know yourself? You ever see, whether you believe in a Bible or not, and I'm not here to preach you any kind of religions, but there is a big word that says, know thyself. You are so powerful that you have the power to shut off your own power or not even believe your power exists, thereby ending your power, but it doesn't end it forever. If you want your life to improve, Stop focusing on the negative. Stop worrying about what you might lose, because you never know when you lose something. You might find something even better right around the corner, even if right around the corner is 5, 10, 15 years from now. If you're one of those people that is trying to reach higher levels, you ever notice that anytime you're in major trouble, that you don't sink under the ocean? You always get by just enough to make it through. That's your power trying to show itself, to manifest itself. If you want to think in a third dimensional plane, then all you'll have to do is just focus on your mind. Be afraid all the time. Be depressed and worried, saying, I can't, or I won't, or there's no way, or I'm going to lose this, or I got to hang on, or I'm stuck. Well, if that's what you believe, then that's what you will create. It's like changing a light switch. All you have to do is turn it on. If you don't believe the light switch is there, how you ever going to flip the switch? You have to do that. And the problem is, this world teaches you to wait for everybody else to take care of you. The media will take care of you. The education will take care of you. The politicians will take care of you. God will take care of you. Let me tell you something. There is a creator, because for there to be a creation, there has to be a creator. But given the choice of free will, you make the decision whether you succeed or fail, or you live or die, or you're happy or unhappy. And this is coming from a person who's lost all their jobs, who had to move. I'm about to move in 1 week out of state. I've lived in New York all my life, but situations are taking my house away. And I had 2 months to come up with $25,000. I could have easily been scared and say, no, I can't do it. Or how am I going to do it? And sit there worried, crying. But instead, I said, I will do it. And guess what? I did it within about 3 weeks. And that's after losing all of my jobs. And having the problem with our cat where we were literally spending thousands of dollars to keep her alive. You can do something. You can do anything unless you convince yourself or allow others to convince you. You cannot. You are the director of your own movie. Why are you letting other people create the script? If you don't want a fight scene in your love movie, don't put it in. Somebody could say, here's a script. Please take it. Or here's a script. Here's $1 million. Or here's a script. Use it or die. None of them can convince you unless you say, okay. So that is why now I'm okay with a channel that has almost 48,000 subscribers. 29 people are listening. But those 29, out of those 29, maybe 10 of them will understand this. And of those 10, maybe 2 will give it a try. And of those 2, maybe 1 will succeed. But you know what? Out of 48,000, if only 1 person listening to this improves their life, then do you think I've helped or hurt the world? I used to worry so much about trying to awaken every single person in the world, I forgot to awaken myself. And Mika's close. She says mind over matter. That's what you've been told all your life. It's heart that matters. And think about that. What is the universe made of? It's made of matter. So listen to the words. It's all in the words. They're like codes. It's like secret codes that you have to determine what is a decodable message for you. And even if it's something as simple as a number, I promise you, if you watch this right now and this is resonating in a way that means something, you're going to look at a clock or you're going to look at the time of this video or something like that, and you're going to see a number you've seen before. And if you think that's a coincidence, you have that right. But if you want to change your world, you have to change from using your brain to using your heart. and you'll be amazed. You have to trust your heart. Your heart will always bring you where you need to be. Your heart will always warn you when there's danger. Danger usually occurs when you ignore it, or don't believe in it, or let your brain convince you otherwise. You ever see a movie where somebody's thinking about doing something and you have the little guy with the devil outfit and the little guy with the angel outfit? Well, here's the thing. Your head is the devil. Your heart is the angel. Your head is always going to convince you of the opposite of what you really want. It's going to give you doubt. It's going to give you depression. It's going to confuse you. It's going to scare you. Your heart is going to say, do it or don't do it. You know what's right or what's wrong. Think about if you were a kid or sometime in your adult life where you tried to steal something and you knew it was wrong. How your body reacts. How it starts to shake. How you get nervous. That's your body's alarm system saying you may not want to do that. Your head will tell you, oh, just take that extra money. Or just take that thing. Nobody's paying attention. It's easy. And you may even get away with it. You're never going to fly high if you choose to do the wrong thing because you can get away with it or it's easy. It's very easy for groups. You ever notice these days there are all these different groups trying to tell other people how to live, how to convince them to believe in their viewpoints and in their ways? It takes all of them to create the power of you alone. So who's more powerful? The group that needs all of their own energy just to compete with you who can stand on their own? I've done a lot of research. I've trusted a lot of my instincts that I've been learning. And once you start learning this stuff, it starts becoming instinctual. I can listen to a song or I can watch a movie and I'll see coded messages like you see in the movie The Matrix. Like if you've ever heard the song Drive by Incubus, and if you haven't ever listened to that song, go to lyrics.com and write in Drive by Incubus. And it's talking about taking the wheel and drive. In other words, don't let somebody else live your life for you. You take that steering wheel and you drive where you need to be. Would you choose water over wine? In other words, wine is going to get you drunk. Wine's going to make you think irrationally. Wine is going to be bad for your health. Water is pure, as long as it's not full of fluoride. It is all about frequency. Whether you choose to believe it or not, and again, even the people that say this is full of garbage and I think this person is crazy, they're so powerful that they will manifest because they feel that in their heart. They will have all the evidence they need to prove that what they say and what they feel is correct. That is why you can have people on one side of an argument believe every single thing that they're on their side about, and a person or people with the exact opposite point of view who will have proof of everything that they believe in. Because they're both right, because the universe will give you what you truly feel is truth. Everybody's right, but not everybody's right in somebody else's eyes. And that's where the problem is. And people are so concerned about everybody else agreeing with their point of view, they seem to forget to believe in it themselves. Because if you believe in something, it's like a product. If a product works, people are going to buy it, whether you have to advertise it or not. Crap goes away. It does not last. There's a reason why probably none of you have a pager right now. And in 20 years... you probably won't have the computers that you have right now. Things change. You cannot make somebody want to play an 8-track player no matter how much you love them or how much money you're trying to make on them. If nobody wants them, you can't convince them. It's the same thing with ideas and ideals and everything about life. You see all these groups all around the world these days trying to tell everybody how to live. Well, stop listening to them. How many of them are knocking on your door right now influencing you? And I've allowed that to happen to me as well. Because you can go off the beaten track. If you watch some of my videos, sometimes I'm all over the place. Why? Because sometimes things change. Sometimes you need to be reminded yourself. And sometimes you have to go through negative things because if you pay attention to them, you can learn from them. And that's how you grow. Everybody in this world these days wants to plant the seed and expect a tree the next day. It doesn't work that way. And even if it did, then you miss out on everything. Sometimes you want to sit back and just watch the world grow, just for the beauty of it. How many of you do that anymore? We're so focused on what everybody else is saying and what else you're not supposed to say, instead of being. Whether you're left or right, whether you're feminist or not, whether you are Democrat or Republican, whether you're gay or straight, black or white, male or female, who cares? You are you. We are all human beings being. What are you being? I want you to hopefully start trusting your heart and following it, and stop focusing on what you're afraid of, because you are manifesting the very thing that you do not want, no matter how hard you pray for it. If the universe bases everything that you want based on your heart, then why are you using your head to ask for everything that you want and not getting it? I mean, if you got everything that you asked for, then hey, then I'm wrong. And, congratulations to you. But if it's not working, hello, McFly, if you walk into a wall, why are you continually walking, trying to get out by walking into that wall? Turn around. It's okay. Sometimes you have to backtrack. Enjoy the scenery. You've been there before. The more you travel in your mind and in your universe, the more familiar you get with things. Makes it easier to navigate. But sometimes you have to walk through a door you've never seen before. Don't be afraid of it. Be excited about what could be on the other end. And if something is scary, maybe it's there to motivate you to go in a better direction instead of the path that you're on. You ever notice when you're going in the wrong direction? Like if you're dating somebody and everybody's like, oh, that person's so bad for you. And you don't listen. And you even know that person's bad, but you don't want to be alone, or, you're used to that person. You ever notice things get worse and worse? Put your hand on a fire and watch how much more painful it is the longer you keep your hand there. All you have to do is move your hand away. And realize if you put your hand there, yeah, you got burned. Well, don't ever do it again. You learn from your experiences. People these days learn by what other people tell them. How is that wisdom? And that's why it's even the things I'm saying here. If you don't believe in it, that's fine. I'm not here to convince anybody to do anything in their life. I'm sharing what I feel resonates with me and what I feel can help you. If you're not ready for it, that's okay. The message will be here for you when you are, or if you are. But it's based on love. How much of that do you have, and how much of that do you give? So many people want love in this world. How much love are you giving? It's easy to take. Not very easy to give, because that requires sacrifice, empathy, kindness, thought, heart. The world's losing that, but that doesn't mean you have to lose that. Because not for nothing, even if you believe the Bible to be 100% true, and there was a flood that was created to kill mankind, well, hello, you're here, aren't you? Just because there might be destruction all around you doesn't mean it has to affect you unless you want it to. Even when you don't want it to, because you focus on it. You're so scared of it. You create it. You are a creator. And like I said in one of my videos, you are the dungeon master. It's all a game. You're going to have good times and bad times. It's what you can learn from it. You want to be in school? You don't want to repeat the 7th grade? Well, learn what it is you need to learn to progress to the next level. If you don't learn what you need to learn in the 7th grade, what a shocker, you have to repeat it. Whose fault is that? So I hope videos like this can get you to stop and say, you know what? Some of this seems to resonate with me. Some of it seems to make sense. Let me try a different way if my old way wasn't working. Because the beautiful thing is, if you try something new and you don't like it, you can always go back to the way you were. But if you're not happy, I have to ask you this. What are you doing to fix that? Do you want to be unhappy? It can be that easy. And trust me, like I said, I've lost all of my jobs. I am losing my house. I could be losing a loved one, my pet, that I love to death. But I'm getting a new house. I will get new jobs. I am helping this cat stay alive when every other person would have let them go. And she's improving. Because in my heart, I know I'm doing all that I can. And it is a matter of choice. Like I did in a video, my last video, the strongest thing in the universe is choice. The second is love. Because most people say love is the most powerful. Well, guess what? You can choose who you love and who you don't love. You give that to somebody. It should also be earned. If you settle for less, don't be surprised. That's what you get. But you can always change it. So I hope this helps you even in the slightest way. Your thumbs up will show me that. Your subscriptions will tell me that. Your comments will tell me that. Or your happiness, which I may never even know about. You can believe whatever you want or not believe whatever you want. And in your heart, if something that you have passion in is your truth, that is what it is. It's your truth. If you spend your whole life trying to convince people of your truth, then how much do you really believe in it? Or do you really trust in it? Because if something is worth putting your passion into, no one has to convince you. And like Sean says, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. Not everybody's going to agree with that. But that doesn't mean it can't be 100% the truth for you. But if you spend your whole life trying to convince other people about that, then are you really doing the message of what that's supposed to teach you? If that's supposed to be about love. You can't force somebody to love you, just like you cannot force an ideology on somebody else, even if in your mind it's 100% truth. And Sean, just so you know, we are all God. We are part of the creation, which was created by a single entity. Call it God, call it source, call it whatever you want. But if we are part of that, that means we are all God. You ever wonder why the supposed image of God that they want you to learn about, the bearded man sitting in the cloud, never listens to your calls and your prayers, never comes and shows themselves? Because maybe it's inside you all along and you're just looking in the wrong place. Because everybody, when you're praying and you're wishing and you're hoping, you're going outward with those messages, not going inward. Speaking in the wrong direction and wondering why you're never being heard. And Sean, just so you say, you cannot be forced to believe, which is true. But like I said, believing doesn't mean it's true. Knowing is truth. So speaking of it is not forcing anyone. It depends on how often you do it. If you involve yourself in a conversation that has nothing to do with what you believe in, then you are trying to force your ideas into somebody. So remember, If somebody asks about something you believe in, by all means, share your passion. But if you introduce something that has nothing to do with a conversation, then you, in a way, are forcing people onto your ideology. That's all that is. Now, I'm not saying you're right or wrong. What you believe in or what you feel in your heart, if it works for you, that's all that matters. Just as what works for me or works for someone else matters. Because all truths are true, even if they contradict one another. That's the beautiful thing about this multiverse. Everything is right, even the things you don't want to be right. So I'm going to end this video right now because I know sometimes I ramble on and I don't want to continue to say the same things over and over again. But I want to thank the people that are here, and I hope maybe something I said makes you think in a different way, makes you try and do something different. And if something changes in your life that was inspired from this video or any other video I've done, leave it in the comments section. Let people know. Share your ideas. Don't force them. Don't convince anyone else that what you believe in or what you know is true for them. Because what works for you may not work for somebody else. Worry about your own love. If you believe in whatever God you believe in, if it works for you, that should be all that matters. If you spend your whole life trying to convince others to believe in something that they may not be ready for, you're going to spend your whole life doing a lot of talking for other people and never finding your own happiness. And Sean says you can't force. Of course you can force. There's plenty of people that force people to do things. You pay taxes, don't you? There's always somebody that could force you. That doesn't mean it's good or it's healthy or they're doing it because they want to. There's been slavery throughout our history. So there's plenty of ways you could force people. I mean, just look at religion. Look what they've done. How many people have been murdered because they believed in a different God or different gods than others did. You can easily force somebody, but that doesn't make them know. You can convince somebody, you can even make them believe it, but you can't make them know. And truly in their heart, know what is right for them. So anyway, I want to thank everybody. I want to send my love to everybody. If you share this, I'd appreciate it. And if you ever see another channel taking my videos, please mention to them, at least have the courtesy to, mention my link and don't profit off of my videos. I don't mind people taking my messages, but if you're not going to give credit to who makes the videos, it's not the nicest thing to do. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you learned something from this. I thank you regardless whether you believe in it or not, that you took the time to listen to what I had to say. I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful night, and maybe one of you will see life in a different way. And if something good comes out of that, then just imagine if this video was never made. And that's how you spread goodness, even when the world tries to silence you. We are sand, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll slip through their fingers. Have a great night, everybody.